We are here at Claire Anastas' house with her granddaughter and Ayla. And we are talking about the plan for the escape room here in the house, surrounded on three sides by the separation wall. Some say the apartheid wall here around. We can see it out of the window in the kitchen. And I want to ask Claire, so why did you choose the Second Intifada as the period, the narrative for the escape room?
Yeah, hi, my name is Claire Anastas. I have 4 children, and in the Second Intifada, we've lived through a very dangerous, horrible life because the military of Israel have set up a military base and camping, living in our backyard. And they used my house, my apartment specifically, and our roof in our side, keeping us in the same house while they used it for shooting for our Palestinians in Bethlehem. And you can imagine what we have to face for some years. It talks about 6 or 7 years.
How did they use the house? Was it that they shot
They
from
used to,
the windows?
no, they used to knock on the door, and we should open it in midnight and awake my 4 children from their bedrooms, and they cage us on the floor in front of the door of the apartment where we live. And they used our bedrooms because it has windows from wall to wall to shoot from it, and the roof. So imagine what the children has to face during the crossfire, especially when the Second Intifada, both sides have been using weapons.
So Palestinian militants and the Israeli army were here.
Exactly, they were shooting, and the Palestinian military were shooting toward us because we are standing in front and located in front of the military army who
The
were
watchtower there.
and the military camp.
camp.
We were covering and protecting it because we are higher than the military camp in our backyard.
Yeah. So it was a very intensive period at that time.
Yeah, and what we experienced, we decided to, and we thought how to help others, especially the youth, our youth who are still steadfasting in war and intifadas, since especially the most worst intifada we had in the Second Intifada, and until the war started, our children needs help. Our youth who grown up the whole life in a violent life, in a caged life, in a stressed and depressed, and we thought that from our experience in how we could stay and steadfast, especially our children who had to face the dangers every day, every night, especially in midnight. It was midnight mares for them for some nights. Midnight. Yeah, when they use the army used to enter to use our bedrooms and their bedrooms. It was most of the time in midnight, not daytime.
Oh, yeah.
When they make the crossfire in the Second Intifada in this area. And they shoot it toward Bethlehem, toward either refugee camp, and we received back also.
Yeah, the wall was not here yet, huh? So,
before the war started,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's 2 years later, I think. Yeah.
Yes, it's no more.
No more.
It started 1996 slowly, and it grown up 1999 and up. 1999, it was so dangerous here. They used to.
You mean it became dangerous?
Oh yeah.
But the wall itself was built in 2003. Yeah. So we talk about the period before 2000 or before
2000.
Before the Second Intifada, even. Yeah.
Yeah. How it started, when they started both sides using weapons and defending, Palestinians starting shooting toward the army, the Israeli army. It became more worse because they put block blocks in the beginning, like walls, to block the streets before they built and checkpoints, temporary checkpoints, before they put the wall. After they decided in the Supreme Court between politician cases and big fighting together, until they decided to build the wall around the house in 2003. And they digged for 2 months before they built the wall in one day. So imagine having an experience to have after the dangerous life for our children, to have more worst end that they have to live. And imagine when they went to school, they came back. The youngest son was called, he's called Daniel. He was 7 years old. He said, "Mom, how come after what we suffered and lived in a dangerous and horrible life for some years, this is the end, is to bury us alive in a big tomb because of Rachel's tomb." And that makes them really in a desperate feelings and situation that there's no hope in life at all. There's no work because our businesses used to be in the same building, actually. We had to close it since 1996. They started forcing us to close it. They started threatening the clients not to come here until it became like a dead end in 1999 till 2004. And then until we started building up again, opening lights in our hope, God helped us and showed our children how nothing impossible to God. In the miracles He made for us, because we trusted Him. And the children saw these miracles, experienced it. It gave them, the faith of God gave them the strength to stay and steadfast with and keep out their stress and depress and the fear. It's a very high fear. Nobody wants to imagine or could imagine what they experienced to live in fear and dangers.
Can you also say something about the Second Intifada, the time of the curfews? You know, the time of...
and the most worst when they
people
make
were
a
not
curfew,
allowed, because that is very relevant to the escape room.
And after 1 year, during 2002, there were a curfew time. First, they caged us 40 days, starving, no food, no medicine for the mother. She was screaming from the pain of the arthritis.
For your
mother-in-law. And imagine my 4 children has to bear all these stress and the pain of their grandmother. It was so painful for us to bear it. For 40 days, no food. I used to bake bread and eat bread and jam, and what we storage for the whole year. We used to just share a little bit, while we couldn't get any Red Cross help, any food, any medicine for the sick mother. We asked help. Nobody helped us ever. And the problem is, as a civilian families, the system doesn't help families. Churches couldn't help much. They focused to help widows, people who are old people in the old city, not in this area. This area used to be like near Jerusalem. And for the church, they used to help the community near, like the close community near the old city.
I remember that. It was the gate to Bethlehem. There were many shops. Your shop was part of that at the time. And then suddenly, Second Intifada and then the building of the wall, it completely changed the situation. I remember that we once, my daughter wanted to go to a birthday party here in the area, and it couldn't take place because no kids were coming. It was like a very desolate area, and so that was...
we used to describe it as a ghost area.
Yeah.
Because even pets or cats didn't come to this area because
Yeah.
it was all empty. People have left. Most of the people have left.
Yeah, and so how did the idea of, you know, a narrative around the curfews, around the Second Intifada, how did it come up with you? I know we talked about it in the past, but
Yeah. My goal, goal is to inspire the people. From our experience, immediately they would be inspired, I'm sure, because to live under such a circumstance and stay alive and be quiet and be normal children growing up, since Daniel was 2 years old when they started awaking him in the bed in midnight, entering with the force of many army, weaponed army. You know, that's by itself a fear.
Yeah.
And they have to get used to have them coming in and awake them in under dark, under light. It doesn't matter for some armies. It depends. Not all were the same, but you know, we have many different actions. Or
so you want also to work with the schools here in order also that young
also,
people here.
the other important goal is to help the children, our youth who've been living for many years, or some of them grown up in the bad situation, always intifada, always the conflict, to learn how to keep the inner peace and use them and teach them to deal in non-violent ways in life, and never accept to change their personality because of others who are using violence against civilians or children.
Yeah.
So that's also we thought to make it and to keep it as a main basic thing, and we hope we can do it like like free, or you know, we shall see how we can do it to encourage the children to come often to learn and show them how they need to keep their inner peace without getting out of their stress and thinking smartly how to find and search, and that also for the disabled is important.
For disabled children, but
children.
you worked with deaf children also.
Yeah,
for a while.
I had the experience to work with the deaf children, and really I volunteered to help, and I was so happy that I could even have experienced how they think and what they need, how they need help. And we don't have many places to take them to do any activities for them to help their mentality, their minds, their improving their thinking in different ways. Because of the limit area, the cage area, we are in a prison in Bethlehem. If we want to take them to a field trip, it might be dangerous.
Yeah.
And they would have a fear and affect traumatized. We never know. So we are avoiding to do this. So when I experienced to have this like period of time, I learned a lot and I could help a lot. But the thing that I promised to help them in this escape room, I thought that this will help them a lot, and they can learn and keep their themselves in a calm life, because when they know about other experienced families and children who grown up in a violent and horrible life under fear and depressed and dangerous, they would feel that they are still thankful to God that they are still in better situation in life.
And at the same time, they can learn handy
And
skills with the puzzles and with the technology and to solve
yeah,
little
we
things that.
we are trying to make it in a smart way to design and create puzzles by students who are in Dar al Kalima College and educated and graduated, and they showed how they are creative in designing puzzles and build up puzzles for helping those youth and children at schools or in the city.
Yeah, you would cooperate with them.
Oh
with
yeah,
such
sure.
things, yeah.
And of course, we would love to help also the youth in their start their jobs and work to
Yeah.
encourage them as well. If we can
Yeah.
do that, that would be so helpful for our youth, and they feel that there's hope in their future life.
Do you think that the Israeli army will, because it's after all an kind of political subject, or maybe not, but
Look, in my experience, in what I've been doing in the media, I've talked a lot. They were angry, but they said, your problem, Claire, that you're talking about your stories, your experience, family experience. Then there's law said that they cannot judge or hurt unless they hurt us in different way. But
what did they say exactly? That they were
like
that you were talking about yourself and not about others, and therefore
no, I was talking about politics stories happen to us.
to you, yeah.
When something belongs to you,
So they say they cannot avoid that. They cannot prevent that because it's your story.
It's my story. They cannot stop me
family.
not to tell or talk about it.